मेरा नाम है प्रियंका, आप देख रहे हैं सिंपल। और आज की वीडियो क्लास 10th साइंस के लिए है। तो आज की वीडियो में मैं सारे चैप्टर्स के चैप्टर नंबर 1 to 16 के सारे इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स तुम्हें बताने वाली हूँ। प्लीज़ कीप इन माइंड कि मैं कोई भी पॉइंट एक्सप्लेन नहीं करूँगी बिकॉज ऑफ द फैक्ट कि चैप्टर नंबर 1 to 16 सारे चैप्टर्स कवर करने वाली हूँ। सो इतने सारे चैप्टर्स एक छोटी सी वीडियो में समझाना, एक्सप्लेन करना बहुत डिफिकल्ट हो जाएगा। सो इसीलिए सारे रीड करूँगी। बट अगर तुम्हें रीडिंग नहीं सुननी है, सो व्हाट यू कैन डू इज़ तुम वीडियो फॉरवर्ड करके हर पेज का, जितने भी मैंने इंपॉर्टेंट लिखे हुए हैं चैप्टर 1 चैप्टर 2, हर पेज का तुम स्क्रीनशॉट खींच सकते हो और वो तुम खुद से भी पढ़ सकते हो। ओके, सो लेट्स स्टार्ट। चैप्टर नंबर 1, केमिकल रिएक्शंस एंड इक्वेशंस। केमिकल रिएक्शन क्या होता है? द प्रोसेस इन विच अ सब्सटेंस अंडरगोज चेंज टू प्रोड्यूस न्यू सब्सटेंसेज विद न्यू प्रॉपर्टीज आर नोन एज केमिकल रिएक्शन। केमिकल इक्वेशन, the qualitative representation of a chemical reaction in terms of symbols and formula is called a chemical equation. Balanced chemical equation, एक ऐसी equation in which number of atoms of each elements on the left hand side, that is reactants, and on the right hand side, that is products, is equal, is called a balanced chemical equation. What are the different types of chemical reactions? Combination reaction, in which one element react with another element to form a compound. Decomposition reaction, in which a compound breaks down into simpler compounds or substances. Displacement reaction, in which an atom or a group of atoms present in a molecule is displaced by another atom. फिर आता है डबल डिस्प्लेसमेंट रिएक्शन या फिर डबल डिकॉम्पोजिशन भी कह सकते हैं, इन विच म्यूचुअल एक्सचेंज ऑफ रेडिकल्स टेक प्लेस. डबल डिस्प्लेसमेंट रिएक्शन कैन बी क्लासिफाइड एज प्रेसिपिटेशन, गैस फॉर्मेशन एंड एसिड बेस्ड न्यूट्रलाइजेशन reaction. Precipitation reaction, when two solutions are mixed together and a solid separates from the solution. तो जो solid part होता है, separate हो चुका होता है solution से, उसे हम कहते हैं precipitate. Oxidation reduction reactions. Oxidation reaction में क्या होगा? Oxidation involve addition of oxygen or removal of hydrogen. Reduction involve the removal of oxygen or addition of hydrogen. Redox reaction, in which oxidation and reduction take place simultaneously, are known as redox reaction. Exothermic और endothermic क्या होता है? When a chemical reaction liberates heat, then it is exothermic, and when a chemical reaction absorbs heat, then it is endothermic. Corrosion क्या होता है? Corrosion is the degradation of metal and generally called rust. Rancidity, an unpleasant change in flavor and odor of food. Chapter number 2, acid, bases and salts. Acids are sour in taste, example vinegar. Bases are bitter in taste, example milk of magnesia. Chemical properties of acids. Acid on metals. Metal react with dilute acids to form salt and hydrogen. Action with metal oxides, basic oxides. Metal oxides are basic oxides and get neutralized when react with acids. Action with carbonates, bicarbonates of metal. Acid reacts with carbonates and hydrogen carbonates to form salts, water and carbon dioxide gas. Chemical properties of bases. Action of metal क्या होता है? Metal dissolve in base to liberate hydrogen gas. Action with acid. Bases combine with acid to form salt and water only. It is a neutralization reaction. pH scale. pH stands for potential of hydrogen. It is the amount of hydrogen ions in a particular solution. For acid, pH is less than 7. For bases, pH is greater than 7. And for neutral substances, pH is equal to 7. Salt. A salt is an ionic compound which dissociates to yield a positive ion and negative ion. Example, NaCl salts are formed by the reaction of acid and base, which is known as neutralization reaction. फिर कॉस्टिक सोडा का रिएक्शन कर लेना. सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड कॉस्टिक सोडा NaOH एक ही बात है. सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड इज वाइडली यूज्ड बेस इन द लैबोरेटरी एंड इन मैन्युफैक्चर ऑफ पल्प एंड पेपर, टेक्सटाइल्स, ड्रिंकिंग वाटर, सोप एंड डिटर्जेंट एक्सेट्रा. फिर बेकिंग सोडा का रिएक्शन भी कर लेना. बेकिंग सोडा इज यूज्ड एज अ लेवनिंग एजेंट इन बेकिंग एंड इन सोडा एसिड फायर एक्सटिंग्विशर. वॉशिंग सोडा का भी कर लेना. फिर सोडियम कार्बोनेट is used in glass, soap and paper industries and for removing permanent hardness of water. फिर ब्लीचिंग पाउडर और POP का भी रिएक्शन कर लेना. ब्लीचिंग पाउडर जो कैल्शियम हाइपोक्लोराइट है इज यूज फॉर डिसइंफेक्शन ऑफ ड्रिंकिंग वाटर और स्विमिंग पूल वाटर. POP, it is used for making molds or casts for toys, pottery, ceramic, etc. and in surgical bandages for setting fractured bones. Okay. Chapter 3, metals and non-metals. Metal, the element possessing characteristic properties such as luster, malleability, ductile, thermal and electrical conductivity, high tensile strength are called metal. Example, sodium, aluminium, iron, etc. Non-metals are brittle, non-lustrous and are bad conductors of heat and electricity. Example, sulfur, oxygen, etc. Next is chemical properties of metal. इसमें reaction of metal with acid and reaction of metal with solution of other metal salts, ये कर लेना. Reaction with oxygen क्या होता है? Metal burn in the oxygen of the air to produce a metal oxide. Next topic है nature of metal oxide. सबसे पहले है action of metal oxide with water. Oxides of some metals, that is Na, K, Mg, etc. dissolve in water to yield soluble hydroxides known as alkalis. Action of metal oxide with acids. Metal oxide react with acid to form corresponding salts and water. The oxide which exhibit the characteristics of both acids and bases are known as amphoteric oxides. Activity series. The relative electron releasing tendencies of some metal are summed up in the activity series, also called as reactivity series. Formation and properties of ionic compounds. Ionic compounds. Compounds which contain ionic bonds are called ionic compounds. Example, NaCl. An ionic bond is formed with transfer of electrons from metal to non-metal. Occurrence of metal. Major sources of metal is Earth's crust. Metal exists both in free state or native state and also in combined state. Minerals. Elements or compounds occur naturally in Earth's crust are called minerals. Ores. Minerals from which the metal can be extracted profitably and conveniently are called ores. Gangue or matrix. The unwanted impurities of sand and rocky material present in the ore is known as gangue. Metallurgy. The extraction of metal from their ore and then refining them for use. Corrosion of metals. Corrosion is an oxidation reaction with atmospheric oxygen in the presence of water on the surface of a metal. Prevention of corrosion, alloying and galvanizing. Chapter number 4, carbon and its compounds. Bonding in carbon. Carbon form covalent bonds. Covalent bond formation involves sharing of electrons between bonding atoms. Covalency. Number of electrons contributed by an atom for sharing is known as its covalency. Allotropy in carbons, the property due to which an element exists in two or more forms, is known as allotropy, and the various forms are called allotropes. Carbon exists in two allotropic forms, crystalline, diamond, and amorphous coal. The unique nature of carbon. Catenation, the property of elements to form long chain or rings by self-linking of their own atoms through covalent bonds is called catenation. Saturated and unsaturated carbon compounds. In saturated compounds, the valencies of carbon atoms are satisfied by single bonds between them, while in the unsaturated compounds, valencies of carbon atoms are satisfied by double or triple bond. Straight chain compounds. The compounds which contain straight chains of carbon atoms. Example, C4H10. Branch chain compounds. Compounds which are branched. Example, isobutane. Closed chain compounds or ring compounds. Cyclic compounds are called closed chain or ring compounds. Cyclohexane. Hydrocarbons. Compounds which contain just carbon and hydrogen are called hydrocarbons. Functional group. The atom or group of atoms which determine the properties of a compound is known as functional group. जैसे कि OH अल्कोहल के लिए होता है, CHO एल्डिहाइड के लिए होता है, एक्सेट्रा. तो इस पेज पे फंक्शनल ग्रुप, उनमें प्रीफिक्स सफिक्स कौन से लगते हैं, उनके एग्जांपल और उनके अल्पैक नेम दिए हुए हैं. इसका एक स्क्रीनशॉट ले लेना. Chemical properties of carbon compounds. Combustion. Carbon compound undergo combustion reaction to produce carbon dioxide and water with evolution of heat and light. Oxidation. ये कर लेना. Addition reaction. Unsaturated hydrocarbons undergo addition reaction in the presence of catalyst. Example यहाँ पे दिया हुआ है. Substitution reaction. Saturated hydrocarbon bonds give methane in the presence of sunlight. Some important carbon compounds. पहला है alcohol. Compound containing OH group attached to a carbon atom are known as alcohol. Example, ethanol. तो ये भी alcohol में आता है. Properties of ethanol में उसका reaction with sodium. Okay. ये रिएक्शन कर लेना विद H2SO4. Alcohol as a fuel. Alcohol is added to petrol up to 20% and mixture is called gasol. Okay. Second है इथेनोइक एसिड, दैट इज CH3COOH. उसकी प्रॉपर्टीज क्या होती हैं? प्रॉपर्टीज में रिएक्शन कर लेना विद अ बेस कार्बोनेट्स एंड बाइकार्बोनेट्स के साथ का रिएक्शन, और ये इंपॉर्टेंट है एस्टेरिफिकेशन, रिएक्शन विद अल्कोहल, ये भी कर लेना. Ester reacts in the presence of an acid or base to give back the alcohol and carboxylic acid. This reaction is known as saponification. Soaps and detergents. Soaps are sodium or potassium salts of long chain acid, carboxylic acids. Detergent, they are ammonium or sulfurate salts of long chain carboxylic acid. Next है chapter number 5, periodic classification of elements. Classification means identifying similar species and grouping them together. Lavoisier divided elements into two main types known as metal and non-metals. Dobereiner's law of triads. According to this law, in certain triads, group of 3 elements, the atomic mass of the central element was the arithmetic mean of the atomic mass of the other 2 elements. But in some triads, all the 3 elements possessed nearly the same atomic mass. Therefore, the law was rejected. Newland's law of octave. According to this law, the elements are arranged in such a way that the 8th element starting from given one has properties which are a repetition of those of the first if arranged in order of increasing atomic weight, like the 8th note of musical scale. Mendeleev's periodic table. According to Mendeleev, the properties of the elements are a periodic function of their atomic masses. The table consists of 8 vertical columns called groups and horizontal rows called periods. Achievements of Mendeleev's periodic table. The arrangement of elements in groups and periods made the study of element quite systematic. Limitations of Mendeleev's classification. He could not assign a correct position of hydrogen in his periodic table. The isotopes of the same elements will be given different positions which will disturb the symmetry. Modern periodic law. This law was given by Henry. In properties of the elements are the periodic function of their atomic numbers. Cause of periodicity. Periodicity may be defined as the repetition of the similar properties of the elements placed in a group and separated by certain definite gap of atomic number. Modern periodic table. The physical and chemical properties of elements are periodic function of their atomic number and not the atomic weight. The modern periodic table has 18 vertical columns called groups and 7 horizontal rows called periods. Trends in modern periodic table. Valency. Combining capacity of the atom of an element with atoms of other elements in order to acquire the stable configuration. Atomic size. Distance between center of nucleus of an isolated atom to its outermost shell. Atomic radius decreases on moving from left to right along a period. In a group, atomic size decreases from top to bottom due to increase in number of shells. Metallic and non-metallic properties in period from left to right. Metallic nature decreases while non-metallic character increases. In a group, metallic character increases from top to bottom while non-metallic character decreases. Electronegativity. Tendency of an atom to attract the shared electron pair of electrons towards itself. In a period, from left to right, the valency of electronegativity increases, while in a group from top to bottom, the value of electronegativity decreases. Chapter 6. Life processes. Autotrophic nutrition are shown by plants, algae, cyanobacteria, etc. Raw materials for photosynthesis are carbon dioxide and water. Chlorophyll formula यहाँ पे दे रखा है C55H72O5N4Mg. Chlorophyll are used to trap the sun's energy for photosynthesis. During photosynthesis, conversion of light energy to chemical energy and splitting of water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen and reduction of carbon dioxide to carbohydrate, ये सब होता है. Heterotrophic nutrition is one in which organism depends on other organism for food. Example, animals, plants lacking chlorophyll like fungi. Saprophytic nutrition is the one in which organism feeds on dead decaying plants or animals materials. Example, fungi and bacteria. Parasitic nutrition is the one in which organism obtain food from the body of another living host. पैरासिटिक न्यूट्रिशन के 2 टाइप्स होते हैं, एंडोपैरासाइट एंड एक्टोपैरासाइट. एंडोपैरासाइट लिव्स इनसाइड द बॉडी ऑफ द होस्ट. एग्जांपल, टेपवर्म, राउंडवर्म एक्सेट्रा. एक्टोपैरासाइट लिव्स ऑन द बॉडी ऑफ द होस्ट, जैसे कि लाइस, लीच एक्सेट्रा. Holozoic nutrition. Organism, mostly animals, ingest food and then digest it into smaller particles with enzymes. Example, amoeba, paramecium, animals and human beings. Peristaltic movement is defined as rhythmic contraction of muscles on the lining of alimentary canal to push the food forward. Assimilation means utilization of digested food from the body, and egestion means removing undigested food from the body. Alimentary canal pathway: mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine. Gastric sphincter muscle helps in exit of food from the stomach to small intestine. Anal sphincter muscle helps in exit of undigested waste from rectum through anal. Villi are small finger-like projections present on the wall of small intestine. They are used to increase the surface area for absorption of food. Some common features of respiratory organ are large surface area, thin permeable walls, and extensive blood supply. During daytime, carbon dioxide given out during respiration is used for photosynthesis. Therefore, only oxygen is released, which is a major activity in day. During night time, only respiration takes place. Therefore, only carbon dioxide is released, which is a major activity in night. Aquatic animals takes oxygen, which is dissolved in water. Oxygen content is lower in water. Therefore, they breathe at a faster rate. Human respiratory system: external nostril, nasal cavity, trachea, bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli. Rings of cartilage are present in the throat, which ensure that trachea does not get collapsed when there is less air present inside. Erythrocytes, RBCs, is a disc shape and having color pigment hemoglobin, which provide red color. It transports oxygen to all parts of the body. Leukocytes, WBCs, produce antibodies that protect us from disease-causing microorganisms. Thrombocytes, platelets, helps in clotting of blood. The oxygenated blood enters in heart from the lungs through the pulmonary veins. It is the only vein that carries oxygenated blood. The deoxygenated blood from the body enters in the heart through superior and inferior vena cava. Valves maintain unidirectional flow of blood and prevent the backward flow of blood. Double circulation occur in man because of blood passes through the heart twice in one complete cycle of circulation. Amphibians and reptiles have three-chambered heart where little mixing of oxygenated blood and deoxygenated blood takes place. Therefore, their body temperature varies with the temperature of the environment. Transport of water takes place by exhalum tissue present in root system and leaves. Transpiration helps in upward movement of water in plants and also regulates the temperature in plants. फिर यहाँ organ दिए हुए हैं excretory system के. Glomerules are group of capillaries present in Bowman's capsule to receive blood from renal artery and filter it. Proximal and convoluted tubules and loop of Henle reabsorb vital nutrients like glucose, amino acids, salts, urea and H2O, water. Dialysis is the artificial process of getting rid of waste and unwanted water from the blood by dialysis machine. Gaseous waste. Carbon dioxide in respiration and oxygen in photosynthesis are removed by the process of diffusion in plants. Chapter 7. Control and coordination. Nervous system works with the endocrine system to communicate, integrate and coordinate the function of various organs and system in our body and helps the body to respond to the external stimuli. Central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord. It is regarded as the thinker or information processor in the body. The peripheral nervous system includes the sensory and motor nerves and connects the central nervous system with the sense organs, muscles and glands of the body. The peripheral nervous system is regarded as actor or performer in the body. Axon may or may not be covered by a fatty sheath called myelin sheath. This covering is missing at intervals. These gaps on the sheath are known as nodes of Ranvier. The nerves are composed of axons or nerve fiber bundled together like the strands of an electrical cable. Receptors are specialized tips of some nerve cells that detects the information from the environment. The point of contact between terminal branches of axon of one neuron with the dendrite of another neuron is called synapse. The pathway through which impulse pass is called reflex arc. Voluntary action are controlled by forebrain. Involuntary actions are controlled by the mid and hindbrain. Reflex action are controlled by the spinal. Human brain has three major parts: forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. Most complex specialized part of the brain is cerebrum. Cerebellum controls posture and balance. It controls precision of voluntary actions. Medulla controls involuntary actions. Pons control involuntary actions and regulation of respiration. Tropic movement is a directional movement in response to stimulus. Phototropism, movement towards light. Geotropism, movement towards gravity. Cheotropism, movement towards chemicals. Growth of pollen tube towards ovule. And hydrotropism, movement towards water. Auxin, synthesized at shoot tip, helps in plant growth. Gibberellin helps in growth of the stem. Cytokines promote cell division. Citric acid stress hormone inhibit growth, cause wilting of leaves. Thyroxine secreted by thyroid. Regulation of metabolism of carbohydrates, fats and proteins. Growth hormone pituitary regulates growth and development. Adrenaline, adrenal gland located above kidneys. Regulation, increasing of blood pressure, heartbeat, carbohydrate metabolism during emergency. Testosterone male and estrogen female. Changes associated with puberty, sexual maturity. Insulin pancreas reduce and regulates blood sugar level. Deficiency of iodine might cause goiter. Diabetes is due to deficiency of insulin hormone secreted by pancreas that is responsible to control the blood sugar levels. Feedback mechanism regulates the action of hormone. Chapter number 8, how do organisms reproduce? Reproduction ensures continuity of life on earth. It is a bridge to hereditary transmission. It gives rise to new organisms with the same basic characteristics as their parents. By copying of DNA, deoxyribose nucleic acid molecules, it involves continuation of characters from the parent to the daughter cells present in chromosomes of the cell. Variation in the blueprint of the offsprings. It helps the species to withstand major environmental changes, thus save the species from becoming extinct and promotes its survival for a longer time. Importance of variation are pre-adaptation, individuality, struggle for existence, improvement of varieties and evolution. Features of reproduction are growth and differentiation of cellular machinery, cell division, continued replication of DNA, growth and cell division, formation of tissues, organisms and development of special reproductive structures and formation of new individuals. Fission. The parent cell divide splits into two daughter cells. Binary fission splits into two and multiple fission splits into many cells. Binary fission occurs under favorable environmental conditions. Example, amoeba, paramecium. In multiple fission, organism is covered externally by a wall called cyst which protects it from unfavorable conditions. Example, amoeba, malarial parasite and plasmodium, etc. It is known as sporogamy. Budding is asexual reproduction of hydra, multiplies by budding. Natural fragmentation occurs in algae. It may also be induced by internal forces. Example, hydra. In spore formation, a resting cell gets protected by a thick coat that prevents the cell from the unfavorable conditions like high temperature, high acidity, etc. Example, Rhizopus. Vegetative propagation is a mode of reproduction in which the parts like the stem, root, leaves develop into new plant under favorable condition. These are shown by tubers in potato and rhizome in ginger. It also occurs by leaves in plant like Bryophyllum. When reproduction takes place as a result of fusion between two gametes, one from each parent, it is called sexual reproduction. The process of fusion between two gametes is called fertilization. The formation of gametes involve exchange of chromosomal genetic fragments between homologous chromosomes, causing genetic recombinations which lead to variation. Flowers are the reproductive organs of the plant. A typical flower consists of four main holes, namely calyx, sepals, corolla, petals, androecium stamens, and gynoecium carpels. Pollen grain of a flower transferred to stigma of the carpel of the same flower, self-pollination, or to the carpel of another flower, cross-pollination. Transfer of pollen grain are achieved by the agents like wind, water, or fertilization is the fusion between the pollen grains and female egg cell. It occurs inside ovary which forms zygote. Zygote divides several times to form embryo within the ovule. The ovule develops a tough coat and it is converted into a seed. Ovary grows rapidly and ripens to form a fruit, while the seed contains the future plant or embryo which develops into a seedling under suitable conditions. This process is known as germination. Reproduction in humans needs sexual maturity, which includes certain type of germ cells, example, egg, ova in the female and sperm in the male partner, and this period of sexual maturity is called puberty. The formation of male germ cell Sperms take place in testis, male reproductive organ. A pair of testes are located inside scrotum situated outside the abdominal cavity. It is meant to keep relatively a low temperature needed for production of sperms by testes. The sperm, along with the secretion of vesicles together, constitute semen, which is released and made to enter into the female genital tract during copulation. When a girl is born, the ovaries already contain thousands of immature eggs. At the puberty, some of these eggs start maturing. One egg is produced every month by one of the ovaries. Fertilization occurs in the fallopian tube of female genital. Reproductive health means a total well-being in all aspects of reproduction, example physical, emotional, social and behavioral. Contraception is avoidance of pregnancy. It can be achieved by the following ways: physical barriers, surgical methods and chemical methods. Vasectomy, the vas deferens of male is blocked to prevent sperm transfer. Tubectomy, the fallopian tube of the female is blocked to prevent egg to reach uterus. Copper T or loop is placed in the uterus to prevent pregnancy. Chapter 9, Heredity and Evolution. Heredity means the transmission of features, characteristics, traits from one generation to the next generation. George John Mendel is known as the father of genetics. He started his experiment on plant breeding and hybridization. He proposed the law of inheritance in living organisms. Selected by Mendel was Pisum sativum, garden pea कह सकते हैं. Mendel used the 7 pair of contrasting characteristics in garden pea. Monohybrid cross between 2 pea plants with 1 pair of contrasting characters. Example, cross between a tall and a dwarf plant, short. Dihybrid cross, a cross between 2 plants having 2 pair of contrasting characters. Example, cross between round green seeds and wrinkled yellow seeds. When RRYY was crossed with RRYY in F1 generation, तो उससे हमें ये मिला था, round and yellow seed. Self-pollination of F1 plants gave parental phenotypes and 2 mixtures. Recombinants round yellow and wrinkled green seeds plants in the ratio of 9:3:3:1. In some animals, the temperature at which the egg fertilized decides the gender of the animal. Example, turtle. In some animals like human, gender or individual is determined by a pair of chromosomes called the sex chromosome. XX female, XY male. Evolution is the sequence of gradual changes which take place in the primitive organism over millions of years, in which new species are produced. Genetic drift leads to diversity without any adaptation. Acquired traits are the traits which are developed in an individual due to specific conditions. Inherited traits are the traits which are passed from one generation to the next generation. Specialization is the process of formation of new species. It takes place when variation is combined with geographical isolation. Gene flow is exchange of genetic material by interbreeding between populations of same species or individual. Genetic drift is the random change in the frequency of gene pair in a population over successive generations. Genetic drift takes place due to severe change in the DNA and change in the number of chromosomes. Homologous organs provide evidence for evolution by telling us that they are derived from the same, and analogous organs provide mechanism for evolution. Fossil Archaeopteryx possess features of reptile as well as birds. This suggests that the birds have evolved from reptiles. Age of the fossils is determined by deeper the fossil, older it is, detecting the ratios of difference of the same elements in the fossil material, that is radiocarbon dating, C4 dating. Evolution of eyes. Evolution of complex organs is not sudden. It occurs to minor changes in DNA. However, it takes place bit by bit over generations. Flatworms has rudimentary eyes. Insects have compound eyes and humans have binocular eyes. Evolution of feathers. Feathers provide insulation in cold weather, but later they might become useful for flight. Evolution by artificial selection from wild cabbage. Many varieties like broccoli, cauliflower, red cabbage, kale, cabbage were obtained by artificial selection. Molecular phylogeny is based on the idea that changes in DNA during reproduction are the basic events in the evolution. Tools to study human evolutionary relationship: excavation, time dating, fossil, and determining DNA sequences. The earliest member of human species, Homo sapiens, can be traced out in Chapter number 10, Light, Reflection and Refraction. Ray of light, a line drawn in the direction of propagation of light. Beam of light, a group of rays of light emitted by a source of light. Reflection of light, the phenomenon of sending the light back in the same medium by a surface. Law of reflection, the incident ray, the reflected ray and the normal at the point of incident all lie in the same plane. The angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. Image, when light rays meet or appear to meet after reflection from a mirror, then it is called an image. Real image, it is a kind of image which is formed by actual intersection of light rays after reflection. Virtual image is a kind of image which is formed by producing the reflected rays backward after reflection. Plain mirror, a piece of glass whose one side is polished. Spherical mirror is a part of hollow glass sphere whose one surface is polished. Spherical mirror में दो types होते हैं, concave mirror and convex mirror. Concave mirror, it is a spherical mirror whose outer surface is polished and inner or concave side is reflecting surface. Convex mirror, it is a spherical mirror whose inner surface is polished and outer or convex side is reflecting surface. Uses of concave mirror, it is used as shaving mirror, dentist mirror in solar heating devices like solar cooker, in floodlights, etc. Uses of convex mirror, it is used as rear view mirror in automobile security checking purposes, etc. Principal focus, a point on the principal axis of a spherical mirror where the rays of light are parallel to the principal axis meet or appear to meet after reflection from the mirror. Focal length, the distance between the pole and principal focus of a spherical mirror is called the focal length of the mirror. Radius of curvature, it is the radius of sphere of which mirror is a part of. R is equals to 2f. Image formation by a concave mirror for different positions of the object, यहाँ पे given है. यहाँ पे image formation by a convex mirror का भी given है, इसका भी screenshot ले सकते हो. Okay, mirror formula, it is a relation between distance of object, distance of image from the pole of the mirror and its focal length. Magnification का भी दिया हुआ है. Refraction of light, the bending of ray of light when it passes from one medium to another. Law of refraction, the incident ray, the refracted ray and the normal at the point of incidence all lie in this. When a ray of light undergoes refraction, then the ratio of sine of angle of incidence to the sine of angle of refraction is constant, and this is also known as Snell's law. Refractive index, the refractive index of medium 2 with respect to medium 1 is given by this. Refraction by spherical lens. Lens is a transparent medium which is formed by joining two pieces of spherical glass. There are two types of lenses, convex lens and concave lens. Convex lens is a lens which is thicker at the center and thinner at the edges. Concave lens is lens which is thinner at the center and thicker at the edges. Terms related to a lens. Optical center of lens, it is the center of the lens through which light can pass without any deviation. Principal axis, it is the line passing through the optical center and in perpendicular to the line joining its edges. Principal focus, it is a point on the principal axis where all the light rays which are parallel to the principal axis either converge or appear to diverge from after. फिर यहाँ पे टेबल में लिखा हुआ है इमेज फॉर्म बाय अ कन्वेक्स लेंस, तो इसका स्क्रीनशॉट ले लेना. और फिर इमेज फॉर्म बाय अ कॉन्केव लेंस, इसका भी एक स्क्रीनशॉट. तो लेंस फॉर्मूला पता होना चाहिए तुम्हें. मैग्निफिकेशन रेशियो ऑफ हाइट ऑफ द इमेज टू द हाइट ऑफ द ऑब्जेक्ट. Power of lens, it is the reciprocal of focal length. SI unit of power of lens is diopter. Power of a combination of two or more lenses, power of combination lens is equal to the sum of the power of individual lenses. Chapter 11, the human eye and the colorful world. The human eye is a natural optical instrument which is used to see objects. It is like a camera which has lens and screen system. Parts of human eye. Retina, it is a light sensitive screen inside the eye on which image is formed. It contains rods and cones. Cornea, thin membrane which covers the eyeball. It acts like a lens which refracts the light entering the eye. Aqueous humor, it is a fluid which fills the space between cornea and eye lens. Eye lens, it is a convex lens made of transparent and flexible jelly-like material. Its curvature can be adjusted with the help of ciliary. Pupil, it is a hole in the middle of iris through which light enters the eye. It appears black because light falling on it goes into the eye and does not come back. Ciliary muscles, these are the muscles which are attached to eye lens and can modify the shape of eye lens, which leads to variation in focal length. Iris, it controls the amount of light entering the eye by changing the size of pupil. Optical nerve, these are the nerves which take the image to the brain in form of electrical signals. Accommodation power, the ability of eye to change the focal length of the eye lens with the help of ciliary muscles to get the clear view of nearby objects about 25 cm and distant objects at infinity. Color blindness, some people does not possess some cone cells that respond to certain specific colors due to genetic disorder. Eye defects, पहला है myopia, short sightedness. Person can see near objects clearly but cannot see the distant object clearly. Myopia is due to excessive curvature of cornea, elongated eyeballs. Correction कैसे होगा? By using a concave lens of suitable focal length. Hypermetropia, long-sightedness. Person can see distant object properly but cannot see the nearby objects clearly. It happened due to decrease in power of eye lens, that is increase in focal length of the eye. Shortening of eyeball corrected by using convex lens of suitable. Astigmatism, person cannot see focus simultaneously, horizontal and vertical lines both corrected by using cylindrical lens. Dispersion of white light by a glass prism, the phenomenon of splitting white light into 7 constituent colors. When it passed through a glass prism, the various colors seen are violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. The sequence of colors is remembered as Vibgyor. The band of 7 colors is called spectrum. Composition of white light. White light consists of 7 colors: violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange and red. Recombination of light. Newton found out that an inverted prism be placed in the path of dispersed light. Then after passing through the prism, they recombine to form white light. Formation of rainbow. Water droplet act like small prism. They refract and disperse the incident light, then reflects it internally and finally refracts it again when it comes out of the raindrops. Due to dispersion of light and internal reflection, different colors reach the observer's eye as a band of Vibgyor. Atmospheric refraction. The refraction of light caused by Earth's atmosphere having air layers of varying optical densities is called atmospheric refraction. Twinkling of stars is due to atmospheric refraction. Scattering of light. According to Rayleigh's laws of scattering, amount of scattered light is proportional to 1 upon wavelength, so that the wavelength of the violet, blue, green and indigo is small as compared to the rest of the colors, so the sky appears blue. Wavelength 4. Color of sun at sunrise and sunset. At noon, the light of sun travels relatively shorter distance through Earth's atmosphere, thus appears white, as only a little of blue and violet colors are scattered near the horizon. Most of blue light and shorter wavelengths are scattered and sun appears red. The duration of day becomes approximately 4 minutes shorter if there is no atmosphere on Earth. Actual sunrise happens when it is below the horizon in the morning. The ray of light from the sun below the horizon reach our eyes because of refraction of light. Similarly, the sun can be seen about a few minutes after the actual sunset. Thus, the duration of day time will increase by 4 minutes. Chapter 12. Electricity. Electric current is the rate of flow of charge if a net charge Q flows across any cross section of conductor in time t. Then the current I through the cross section is I equals to Q upon T. The SI unit of electric charge is Coulomb. Electric circuit. A continuous and closed path of an electric current made of electrical elements like cells, switch, etc. Electric potential. When a unit test charge is brought inside the field, some work is done because the unit positive charge experiences a force which becomes more and more when the test charge moves near to the given charge. This amount of work done is known as electric potential. SI unit of potential and potential difference is volt. Ohm's law. According to Ohm's law, electric current is directly proportional to the potential difference between the two ends of a conductor provided physical conditions such as temperature remains unchanged. Okay, here R is constant called resistance of wire. V is equals to Ri, resistance. The opposition of the flow of free electrons due to the collision is called resistance. More is the collision suffered, more is the resistance. SI unit क्या है resistance का? Ohm. Factors affecting resistance of a conductor. Resistance of a conductor depends upon the length of the wire and the area of cross section. यहाँ पे तुम देख सकते हो कि rho जो है वो एक constant है. Rho is a constant. This constant of proportionality is known as resistivity or specific resistance, which is represented by rho. Resistance also depend on the nature of the material. Resistivity of a conductor is measured in ohm meter. Resistance of alloys, it is found practically that the resistance of alloy is more than the resistance of its constituent metals. It means alloys have higher resistivity than their constituent metals. Example, nichrome, which is an alloy of nickel, and chromium has very high resistivity than its constituent metals, that is nickel and chrome. Resistance of system of resistors. Resistance can be connected in two ways. Combination of resistance in series. When two or more resistors are connected end to end, they are said to be in series. When two or more resistors are connected in series, then the current flowing in the circuit remains same. Combination of resistance in parallel. If two or more resistors are connected to the same end, they are said to be in parallel. Potential remains same. Heating effects of electric current. When the electric current is passed through a conductor, then conductor gets heated. This effect is known as the heating effect. Of practical application of heating effect of current. Electrical heaters, electrical iron and water heaters, etc. work on the principle of heating effect of current. Electrical bulb glows when electric current flows through the filament of the bulb. Electric fuse in the electrical circuit. Electric fuse in the electric circuit melts when large current flows in the circuit. Joule's law of heating effect. It states that the amount of heat produced in a conductor is directly proportional to the square of current passing through it. Second, directly proportional to the resistance of conductor, directly proportional to the time for which the current is passed. So combining 1, 2 and 3, here constant of proportionality is 1. H equals to I square RT joule. Electric power. The rate at which the electric energy is consumed is called electric power. Power is equals to work upon time, where P is power, I is the current flowing, V is the potential difference and R is the resistance. It is measured in watt. Electric energy is measured in kilowatt hours. It is called Board of Trade Unit, BOTU. 1 kilowatt hour is equals to 1000 watt into 3600 seconds equals to 3.6 into 10 to raise to power 6 joule. Chapter 13, Magnetic Effects of Electric Current. In 1820, Hans Christian discovered that a compass needle got deflected when an electric current was passed through a metallic wire placed nearby. This observation relates electricity and magnetism. Magnetic field. Every magnet has a region around it in which its force, attraction or repulsion can be experienced by a magnetic material like iron, cobalt, nickel, etc. This region is known as magnetic. Types of magnetic field. Uniform magnetic field. The magnetic field is said to be uniform if its magnitude is equal and direction is same at every point in this space. Non-uniform magnetic field. The magnetic field is said to be non-uniform if its magnitude is not equal and direction is not same at every point in space. Magnetic lines of force or magnetic field lines. The path, straight or curved, along which unit north pole moves in a magnetic field, if it is free to do so, is called magnetic lines of force. They are imaginary lines. Properties of magnetic lines of force. Two field lines never intersect each other. All field lines are closed curves. Inside the magnet, direction of magnetic field lines is from south pole to north pole, while outside the magnet from north pole to south. Right hand thumb rule. If we imagine that we are holding a wire carrying current and thumb is stretched in the direction of current, then the direction in which the fingers will be wrapped gives the direction of magnetic line of force. It means if the current is flowing in the upward direction, then the direction of magnetic lines of force will be anti-clockwise, and if the current is flowing in the downward direction, then the direction of field will be clockwise. Clock rule. It is applicable for circular loops. If the current flowing appears to be in anti-clockwise direction in any circular loop, then this face acts as north pole of the magnet. While if the current flowing appears to be in clockwise direction in a circular loop, then this face acts as south pole of the magnet. Factors on which strength of magnetic field around the straight wire carrying current depends are: strength of the magnetic field depends on the current, that is, it is directly proportional to the current flowing through the conductor. Distance from the wire. Strength of magnetic field is inversely proportional to the distance from the wire carrying current. Solenoid. A solenoid is a coil of many turns of an insulated wire closely wound in the shape of tight spring. Factors on which magnetic field due to a solenoid depends are: the number of turns of the wire forming a solenoid, the strength of the current, nature of material inside the solenoid. Electromagnet is a piece of magnetic material like soft iron or hard steel which is placed inside a solenoid through which current is flowing. Uses of electromagnet: to lift heavy iron pieces in many devices like electric bell, electric horn, telephone receivers, etc. Force exerted on wire carrying current placed in a magnetic field. It was discovered that when a magnetic needle is placed near a conductor carrying current, it shows deflection, that is, a force exerted on it. Fleming's left-hand rule. According to this rule, stretch the thumb and forefinger and center finger of the left hand in such a way that these fingers are perpendicular to each other. If forefinger is placed in the direction of magnetic field and middle finger in the direction of current, then thumb will point toward the direction of Fleming's right hand rule. According to Fleming's right hand rule, stretch thumb, forefinger and middle finger in such a way that these are perpendicular to each other. Now adjust thumb and forefinger in such a way that thumb indicates the direction of motion of the conductor and forefinger indicates the direction of MF. Then the direction in which middle finger points is the direction of flow of current. Electric motor, DC motor. It is a device which is used to convert electrical energy into mechanical energy. An alternating current is the current whose magnitude changes continuously with time between 0 and a maximum value of whose direction reverses periodically. In India, frequency of AC is 50 Hz. Electric generator is a type which is used to produce induced current which forms in one direction unidirectional called direct current. AC generator generates AC that changes its polarity after every half rotation. Electromagnetic induction. Michael Faraday discovered that when a straight conductor moves in a magnetic field, current is generated in the conductor. This phenomenon of production of electric current is known as electromagnetic induction, and the current so obtained is called induced current. Galvanometer is an instrument that can detect the presence of current in a circuit. Household circuit. We receive supply of electrical power through main. One of the wire in the supply has red insulation called the live wire, another wire with black insulation called the neutral wire. Potential difference between them is 220 volts. Short circuit. It occurs when the insulation of wire gets damaged and live and neutral wire touches each other. Fuse is a safety device having a very thin wire which is made up of either tin or alloy of tin and lead, or tin and copper. This wire has low melting point, so it melts and breaks the circuit easily if the current in the circuit exceeds its safety value due to short circuiting or overload. Chapter 14, Sources of Energy. Any system from where energy can be trapped is called a source of energy. Evaluation criteria for good source of energy: capital cost, operating cost, efficiency. is it renewable, etc. Conventional sources of energy, fossil fuels, coal and petroleum, these are non-renewable sources of energy, so we need to conserve them. Thermal power plant, fuel is burned to produce heat energy, which is further converted into electrical energy. Hydropower plants, the potential energy of falling water is converted into electricity. Improvement in the technology for using conventional sources of energy. Biomass means any organic matter from which we can get energy on a renewable basis. Biogas is a combustible mixture of gases produced by the decomposition of biomass, especially animal waste and sewage. Preparation of biogas by anaerobic fermentation of biomass. Advantages of biomass. Biomass is an excellent clean fuel that burns without smoke. It leaves no ashes on burning. Biogas plants represents a safe and useful way of waste disposal. Use of biogas in rural area lead to saving of firewood and reduces deforestation. Wind energy, when wind blows with a sufficient speed, it gets ability to do some work, that is wind energy. Use of wind energy, it is used in sailboats. It is used to generate electricity. It can be used to run windmill. Wind farms, when large number of windmills are installed over a large area to harness wind energy commercially, like to generate electricity commercially large scale, they are called wind farms. Solar energy, the energy coming with the rays of sun energy of the sun reaching every year on earth is about 1.6 into 10 to the power 8 kilowatt hour. Solar cells convert solar energy into electrical energy directly. Solar cells are made up of semiconductors like silicon, germanium, gallium, etc. Solar panel, when a large number of solar cells are put together to draw high voltage for commercial purposes, then it is called a solar panel. Uses of solar cells to provide energy to artificial satellites and space probes as a source of electricity on oil drilling platforms and lighthouses to run small electrical devices like watches, calculators, etc. Solar cookers. Box type solar cookers can achieve temperature of the order of 100 to 140 degrees Celsius. Frying and making chapatis are generally not possible in a box type solar. Advantages of solar cooker: it doesn't create pollution. It's a source of energy, is free of cost and renewable. Disadvantages are it cannot be used at night or during cloudy days. It takes a long time for cooking. Energy from the sea. Tidal energy obtained from the ocean is in the form of tidal waves. Wave energy, it is another form of ocean energy which can be harnessed. Wind blowing across the surface of the ocean are converted into waves. These waves carry energy called wave energy. Ocean thermal energy, OTE. Temperature difference between layers of water at different depths in the sea can also be used to produce electricity. Geothermal energy, energy stored as heat in the earth. It heats rocks and waters below the ground. Nuclear energy, the energy released during nuclear reaction. It comes from the nuclei of atoms. Nuclear energy is generated by two types. First one is nuclear fission and second is nuclear fusion. The nucleus of heavy atoms such as uranium, plutonium or thorium, when bombarded with low energy neutrons, can be split apart into lighter nuclei and releasing energy. This principle is used in atom bombs. Nuclear fusion. Fusion means joining lighter nuclei to make a heavier nucleus, most commonly hydrogen or hydrogen isotopes, to create helium, such as this. And this principle is used in hydrogen. Hazard of nuclear power generation. The major hazard of nuclear power generation is the storage and disposal of spent or used fuel. Improper nuclear waste storage and disposal result in environmental contamination. Further, there is a risk of accidental leakage of nuclear reaction. How long will an energy source last us? Renewable energy sources are those which can be generated by us or which are constantly being generated by natural processes or whose supply is unlimited. Example, the sun, wind, flowing water, etc. Non-renewable sources of energy are those which were produced in the past by natural processes whose supply is limited and which we cannot generate again. Example, coal, petroleum, natural gas. Chapter 15 are environment and biochemical cycles. Essential nutrients like nitrogen, carbon, oxygen, water are changed from one form to another. Biodegradable substances, substance that is broken down by the biological processes. Example, food, tree leaves, urine, etc. Fungi, bacteria and other living organisms are main agents that help in decomposition of biodegradable substances. Temperature, sunlight also play important role. Non-biodegradable substances that are not broken down by biological processes, example includes DDT, insecticides, glass, plastics, mercury, etc. Non-biodegradable substances may be inert and simply persist in the environment for a long time or may harm the various members of each ecosystem. In an ecosystem, energy and matter are continuously exchanged between living and non-living components. Natural ecosystem are grasslands, a forest, a sea, river, desert, mountain, a pond, a lake, etc. Terrestrial ecosystem, land-based ecosystem are desert, grassland and mountains. Aquatic ecosystem, water-based ecosystem are ponds, river, lake and sea. Man-made or artificial ecosystem are garden, crop fields, park, aquarium, etc. Biotic compound of an ecosystem is a community of living organisms like plants, animals, and microbes. Biotic components of an ecosystem is a community of living organisms like plants, animals, and microbes. Abiotic components are non-living components of an ecosystem. It comprises of physical factors like temperature, rainfall, wind, soil, and minerals. All green plants are called producers. They are also called autotrophs. Consumers can be classified variously as herbivores, carnivores, omnivores, and parasites. Herbivores are also called the first order consumers. Carnivores are also called primary carnivores or second order consumers. Decomposers are also known as the saprotrophs. These are called reducers. Decomposers help in disposing of the waste and dead bodies of plants and animals. Therefore, they clean the environment and create space for living of newer generation of organisms in the ecosystem. Two process of energy flows and biochemical cycles, nutrients movement proceed side by side. The energy flow is unidirectional while the movement of nutrients is. Food chain transfer energy and material between various living components of an ecosystem. Food chain is a sequential process which represents who eats whom. In a food web, one organism may occupy position is more than one food chain. The number of trophic level in a food is equal to the number of trophic level in a food chain is equal to the number of steps in a food chain. Green plants capture about 1% of the solar energy incident on the earth through the biochemical process of photosynthesis. A part of this trapped energy is used by plants in performing their metabolic activities, and some energy is released as heat into the atmosphere. 10% law. The energy available at each successive trophic level is only 10% of the previous level. The ozone layer protects life on Earth by blocking most of the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays. Ozone layer is depleted by the chlorine containing compounds like fluorocarbons and CFCs, chlorofluorocarbons. The damage of ozone layer leads to variation in rainfall, ecological disturbance, and other effects in global food supply. To limit this damage, UNEP, United Nations Environment Program, has forged an agreement to freeze for CFC's production at 1986. Biogas and manure can be prepared from the biodegradable waste, which cost much less than other fuel and fertilizer. Chapter 16, Management of Natural Resources. Natural resources include total natural environment that supports human life and contributes to the production of necessities and comforts to mankind. Natural resources are the components of atmosphere, hydrosphere, and lithosphere. Inexhaustible resources are in plenty and cannot be exhausted by man's consumption. Example, air, sand, clay, etc. Exhaustible resources are limited and can get exhausted over a period of time. That is petrol, coal, etc. Coliform is a group of bacteria found in human intestine whose presence in water indicates contamination by disease-causing microbes. The 3 are to save the environment, reduce, recycle, and reuse. The proper management of natural resources take into consideration long-term perspective or views and prevents their exploitation to utilize it for short-term gains. One of the main aim of conservation is to try and preserve the biodiversity we have inherited. It is very important to conserve wildlife to maintain the ecological balance in nature and to preserve the genes. The natural habitat of wild animals and birds should be preserved by establishing national parks and sanctuaries throughout the country. Forests are biodiversity hotspot. The government of India has recently instituted Amrita Devi Bishnoi National Award for Wildlife Conservation in the memory of Amrita Devi Bishnoi, who in 1731 sacrificed her life along with 363 others for the project of Khejri trees in Khejrati village near Jodhpur. The Chipko Andolan Hug the Trees movement originated from an incident in remote village high up in the Himalayas during the early 1970s. Was the result of a grassroots level effort to end the alienation of people from their forest. Deforestation causes soil erosion, desertification, flood, and climatic changes. Water from a dam is used for irrigation in field through a network of canals. Dam ensure round-the-year water supply to the crop fields and help raise agriculture production. Criticism about large dam address 3 problems in particular: social problems, economic problems, and environment. Watershed management emphasis on soil and water conservation in order to increase the biomass production. Water harvesting is capturing, collecting, and storage of rainwater and surface runoff for filling either small water bodies or recharging groundwater so that the water continues to be available in non-rainy seasons. Coal and petroleum are fossil fuels found in Earth's crust. They are non-renewable and exhaustible. Coal and petroleum have been formed from hydrogen, nitrogen, and sulfur. When these are burned, the products are carbon dioxide, water, oxides of nitrogen, and oxides of sulfur. गैप गंगा एक्शन प्लान. ओके, सो आई होप कि इस वीडियो से, इन नोट्स से तुम्हारी थोड़ी सी भी हेल्प हुई होगी. ओके, सो दैट्स इट फॉर दिस वीडियो.